Sometimes I wonder what our ancestors would think about all the new machines, techniques, and supplies we have for sewing. I think they would be amazed and curious, seeing how everything operates, and I have to believe they would love all the special lighting that we have to help us see as we work. Knits are one type of fabric that I don't think our great-grandmothers had, and they would want to know some of the tips and tricks that we're going to share with you today. Let's keep in mind those who have stitched in generations past as we spend time together in my sewing room. You are very welcome here. These adorable little pajama sets are great for granddaughters and grandmothers. They are so comfortable and so wonderful. Absolutely precious. And using the serger, we're going to have so much fun with the serger today, and the cover stitch for the hem. And I want to tell you one little trick. Knits are usually very wide, so if you can avoid, the more seams you can avoid, the better. The easier it is to hem and the easier it is to make. So if you can cut it, I'll show you in just a minute how to do that, but there are no side seams on these little pajama pants. This one is adorable. I have another trick concerning that same idea. This one has no shoulder seams. It was folded and cut where there are no shoulder seams, which is wonderful. I love this little lettuce finish, and this is the softest knit, which is just completely comfortable. I just think I have several little granddaughters that would like a pair exactly like these. This is kind of what they love to sleep in, is the knits. Now here's the idea. If you want, this is the side of the pants. If we're going to do no side seams, what you do is fold the seam allowances over, and then you can cut one whole piece, which means that on the side there is no seam, and then there's just one seam. To hem, this is another wonderful trick. You use paper-backed fusible tape, put it on the bottom. It's got the sticky, you pull off the paper, and then you simply fold it up, and you have a wonderful seam that is stabilized. As a matter of fact, that paperback fusible gives you a real stable finish there, and then you're ready to use your cover stitch and finish it. And with a serger, these pajamas can be made in just a flash. I'm so pleased to have as my guest today my dear friend and business colleague, Pam Mahshie. Pam is Education Director of Baby Lock USA. Pam, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Martha. It's great to be back here once again. And as you said with your viewers, you're going to find that working with knits, sometimes they find that it's difficult to work with. However, when you work with a serger, and as Martha had mentioned, eliminating some of those seams, it's going to help you when you're doing your hemming. So let me just share with you again how we did this. If you take the pattern piece, we are going to overlap the front and the back. We're working with the pants at this, or shorts at this point. So we've overlapped our seams, and as you can see, you would overlap them so that your seam allowance is eliminated. Now then, we're going to hem our garment. And when we hem, one little trick that I like to use is that paper-backed fusible tape. This way, it's going to stabilize your hem edge so that you don't end up with the rippled edge. But we are going to show them, Martha, again, how to make that rippled edge in just a minute.
For the lettuce edge.
For the lettuce edge, exactly. So here again, we do have our hem that's been pressed in place. And again, when we stitch using our serger, we're not having to place any pins and sew over those pins to create uneven stitches once we use this fusible paper-backed tape. Again, we're going to use our serger, and we are going to do a cover stitch. And the cover stitch is going to look like 2 rows of straight stitching on the front side, and then on the back side, we are going to have the hem edge that is completely covered with the chain looper threads. So let me just show you again how we're going to align that in the machine. I do have a portion of this already stitched, and what I like to do as I'm stitching is I use a clear foot that's on the machine. And the reason that I use that clear foot, Martha, is that we can see through the foot and we can look at the stitching that we've previously done.
Absolutely, and line it up perfectly.
And line it up perfectly, exactly. So as I stitch around, my stitch length is going to be set at approximately 3 to 3.5. This way, we do end up with much more flexibility in our stitch because those knits do give and stretch. And as we stitch, we are going to be sewing as we started our stitching over the seam. And then as you come around, I'm just going to clip off the threads. And as I hold my hands, I'm going to be holding my hands on either side of my presser foot, which this is going to help guide and align my stitching. When I look at my presser foot, the presser foot has markings on them which align with the needles. And as I come under, bringing the stitching, the previous row of stitching or the first line of stitching under the presser foot, I can again align those with the markings that are on the foot. Now, stitching and lining this up, my needles are going to come around and perfectly align.
Wow, and that's important too.
It is.
You don't want,
because you don't want your stitches,
jagged.
exactly, you don't want them swaying as they're coming around. I generally overlap about 2 or 3 stitches. Remove the needles from the fabric, raise my presser foot, and a lot of times when we stitch on our serger, we tend to have an exit point. Line of stitching that kind of trails off. So now I can simply raise the presser foot, slide the fabric off, and then just trim those threads real close so that I do not have to worry about any lines of stitching. So now here we have a beautifully aligned row of stitching and no suede stitches.
Absolutely perfect. Now, Pam, if you'll put this over there so our viewers
Sure.
and just tell them how you did that adorable lettuce finish.
Now,
so cute.
The lettuce edge is done using the narrow rolled hem stitch that's on the machine, and I used a nylon thread, a woolly nylon type of thread. And then as I stitch, I engage my differential feed and I simply stretch the fabric, and I stretch it as much as I can, and when I release it, that's what gives me that beautiful lettucey edge. Plus, it's very, very quick. You don't have to worry about turning or folding a hem and making sure that it is aligned.
And it's so cute. And Pam, I've really seen some really expensive lingerie, especially for women in those really expensive knits that have that wonderful lettuce edge. So I think it's a very designer touch too.
Sure, it sure is.
Pam, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And now Pam has some wonderful sewing inspirations to share with you. Pam, you have brought the most beautiful things to share. Oh, tell me about this gorgeous little nightgown here. Well, it's actually a robe, isn't it?
It is a robe. It is a robe. And actually, this is a t-shirt pattern that I revamped and cut it open down the front, the same little t-shirt we just looked at.
Okay.
And added the longer, lengthened the sleeves.
And these are serger pin tucks, aren't they?
Yes. We used the serger, the chain stitch, just like we did with the cover stitch, only we used 1 needle instead of 2 to create the chain stitch on that English cotton netting, which gives us that nice
and
detail.
then you have your Madeira finish here.
And the Madeira finish is on the edge.
Beautiful little antique machine embroideries. Okay, now this darling little nightgown that goes with it. Oh, how sweet. Tell us how you did this wonderful antique embroidery here.
Well, with the antique embroidery that we have here, as you can see, I wanted to incorporate that design within the Madeira applique scallops.
Okay.
So I eliminated the additional embroidery around that center motif and then just simply placed each of those center medallions in each of the scallops.
So sweet. And the Madeira and then the lace and the entredot on the bottom. Oh, this is the sweetest little nightgown. Absolutely adorable. Look at these. Tell us about these, Pam.
Well, this is the camisole tank pattern, and I opened it up again down the center front, and with the pin, to make the pin tucks that we have on here, we used the chain stitch as we did with our hemming. And
so these are serger pin tucks.
These are serger cover stitch pin tucks, and they're all perfectly made by using your cover stitch on the serger.
And this is so cute. Look at every bit of this was done on the serger.
The top stitching on the ribbon was done on the machine.
And this cute little dainty designs, the little antique pattern. Oh, me.
And that again is the same technique that we had on the robe, except it's on a lighter weight tool, a bridal illusion or bridal tool, using again a little bit lighter weight thread, and that's going to give us a very nice
And I have to
detail.
show the little panties, the little ruffle panties that go with this. Isn't that cute? And you did the serger ruffles.
Serger ruffles, serger rolled hem on the little panties.
Absolutely adorable. I just love those serger pin tucks. This is a wonderful camisole and tap pants here. Absolutely. Now tell us how you did this.
This again is going to be using the narrow cover stitch and using the wave, kind of making a serpentine looking stitch to create some interest and detail.
And just a sweet little embroidery, and then of course the tap pants. And I love the fact these are so elegant. You know, Pam, I love white on white.
Right.
You know, and then the little embroidery, and then you did your cover stitch to hem.
And did the cover stitch to hem, and also used that same detail at the top, and then ran the silk ribbon through it for a little more elegant look instead of elastic.
Oh, Pam, these are just beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And now Pam has a so quick, so easy idea for you. Pam, I am crazy about this project. Show our viewers what you've done for them.
Well, I remember when I was younger and I would go to sleepovers, and now my sons go to sleepovers, and they always take all of their little goodies that they have to go and they just cram it inside their pillowcase. So here what we've done is made this little sleepover pillowcase, and if you're doing a slumber party for a friend or for a granddaughter or your daughters, you could certainly place their names on it so nobody gets their pillows mixed up, and also use it as a little gift when they leave. But we've done cording with our serger, we've done the strip piecing with our serger again, and now if we peek inside here,
the magic
Martha,
inside
the little
that
pillowcase, there's some pockets that we've placed inside, and the pockets, there's a larger pocket inside here for pajamas or other little goodies that they might want to place in. Now, of course, everyone takes little makeup or iPods or something to a sleepover. So we have some other smaller pockets that we can place those smaller items in. And then of course we always want to make sure they brush their teeth. So we have a pocket in here as well that's lined with plastic so your pillowcase doesn't get all wet and messed up, but you can still have your toothbrush along with you.
Oh, I just think that is
so let me show you real quick how we did that.
Oh, it's so adorable.
Now we've
So
taken
adorable.
our pillow and we've measured the circumference around our pillow for the top and for the bottom, and then also for the length. That way we know the length and the width that our pillow needs to be. But then we've also taken and made a pocket for the inside of that pillowcase. And I made the pocket about half the length that the entire pillowcase is going to be. We laid that on the back side, on the inside, or what could be the wrong side of our fabric, and we just simply, with a straight stitch on our machine, stitched on 3 sides to hold that in place to the back of our pillowcase. Then again, above that, we placed another pocket and stitched around 3 sides, and then subdivided that into smaller pockets. So depending upon if you know what you're going to be placing in those pockets, you could make them a specific size. And then we also have the smaller one that I did place some plastic on the back side and then installed the zipper and stitched again all on 4 sides to that pocket. Then we simply placed right sides together and serged 3 sides and added the handles.
And added the little Now, this is a wonderful idea too, Pam.
Okay.
This is the birthday present that went with Lydia's 10th birthday.
That's right.
And I love what you did here. Now, how did you get these little guys?
Well, both of these are machine embroidery.
Okay.
And those plastic mats that we used to color on, you can do pretty much the same thing on fabric. Here we did just simply straight stitch outline embroidery.
Okay.
And then took colored pencils and sometimes
colored it in.
And little girls like to come to the birthday party and they can certainly color that in.
Well, color it in, and also each person could signature. This
Sure
would
they
be a
could.
signature quilt for Lydia to keep the rest of her life.
That's right.
Oh, Pam, that is so much fun. Thank you so much for being
You're
here
welcome,
today.
Martha.
And next, I have some beautiful hand embroidery for you. I am so pleased to have as my guest today my dear friend Beverley Sheldrick from New Zealand. Beverley has authored several books on needlework and is a regular contributor to So Beautiful magazine. Beverley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Martha. It's always wonderful to be here and to be with your viewers. Now, Martha, today we're going to do the wound rose or the spider's web rose. It's probably the easiest and the most loved of all the roses. But it's always good to have just a little refresher course on it, I
Absolutely.
find, to the new people coming on all the time. Now, it really is very, very simple indeed. You're going to start off with some either 2 strands of stranded cotton or some floche or something like that. I have been known in dire straits to actually use 2 strands of machine thread. But I know it was desperate then. So you can see here that we're coming up here, in there, the needle out there, and down there. It's just a fly stitch, that wonderful stitch that we use so many times. And then you can see I've just hung a pair of wings on that to give me a 5-sided star. Now this one I did do a little large just to make it easier for people to see. This is a better size, and the thing that you really need to remember is that the size of your star will be the size of your rose. So that's why that really is important, and that is a much better size. Now you can see here I've brought up my ribbon, I've started to weave it over and under and over and under, working my way round. To start off, of course, you're very tight, you get looser as you go around. And then you can see here how I've gone in just like that. I've then taken a second colour and I've come up in exactly the same spot, well, not the same hole, but right beside it, and I've woven round there. And then the very simplest of all the rosebuds, just a straight stitch and then that lovely fly stitch in green around it. So I'm just going to demonstrate this because it is so easy, but it does help you to get everything of an even side. So you can see there I've gone down, I'm going to come up again here and over here. These are those wings that I was talking about, and we've got it there like that. Now you will see that I've come up. I'm now going to use the blunt end of my needle, and I'm just going to weave this in and out like this, getting tighter all the time. You can see I'm not worrying about whether the ribbon twists or anything like that. There it is, just weaving round like that. And then of course I will go in like that. I've now got my second colour, which you can see here, and you do have to keep the rhythm going. So of course there I am going under and then over and then under, and again I will just keep on going. I'll pull that just a tad tight, so I'll ease that back and keep on like that. Now, of course, I've got to the point where I'm going to put in a straight stitch. Remember, to get that straight stitch, you've just got to take it either over your finger or over your thumb and then squeeze it forward with your thumb like that, and you keep the ribbon flat. And of course, last but not least, we're going to do once more that fly stitch, which really is just such a wonderful, wonderful stitch. We use it over and over again. And you can see just how very, very easy it is to do that. It just is so pretty, but so simple.
Well, I'll tell you what, Beverley, I just think that silk ribbon embroidery is one of the most wonderful types of embroidery. It is so pretty, and it just seems to go so much faster than some other types.
It does, doesn't it? And of course, particularly this 2-colour rose. I wouldn't normally use a colour scheme quite as extreme as this, but I just wanted to make it easier.
It makes it easier to
for
see,
our
though,
viewers to see
for
just how it
doesn't
is.
it? Oh, Beverly, thank you so much. It's always such a pleasure to have you here, and I do love those little booties.
You know I love making them.
Oh, I know. We love baby things, don't we?
We do.
And now I have a home decorating project to share with you. I call this wonderful pillow the pumpkin pillow, and you'll see why, even though it isn't orange at all. But this is a wonderful, wonderful pillow that is perfect for all different types of machine embroidery. We have done a wonderful burgundy silk dupioni using almost a brown embroidery thread. Now this is cord. Let me show you what it is. I'm going to slip my hand under there to let you see that nothing is stitched down here. The cord, it's just one circle, and the covered buttons are in the center, but this would also be a great place to use buttons if you have special buttons from your mother or your grandmother, just something you buy. This would be a great place to use 2 buttons or well, one on the top and one on the bottom. Now it's very easy to do. I want to give you another couple of ideas that I would love. You know how we love to make memory pillows or signature pillows? This would be a great baby pillow to put the baby's name and the birth date and the parents and certainly the grandparents' names to build in some data. Wouldn't it be a wonderful birthday present to put information on these different sections? Now let's just see how easy it is to make it, and I do love easy things. All right, this is the size of the real pillow, and we're going to go down to miniature in a few minutes. Okay, you divide the pillow into 6 parts. Just use your certainly we've used a regular pen, but use your wash away pen or go away, you know, the one that's air erasable. And then you make a template to be sure you know exactly where you're going to put your machine embroidery so you can have it placed exactly where you want to. And then we're working with actually a full circle of fabric. To divide it into 6 parts, let me bring this one back up here, hang on a minute. To divide it into 6 parts, you're going to fold it in half and then fold it in thirds and then fold it again in thirds. That's the way you divide it into 6 equal parts. Okay. Then you're going to sew the 2 pieces together, right sides together, and in this case we covered buttons. And you see this is what it will look like. Then you go ahead and stuff it and hand whip it. We used a cord and a long tapestry needle. You are going to need a big, heavy, long needle. All right, now we're ready for the fun part, which is simply wrapping that cord around the 6 different sections. And you see, I told you we were going to go to miniature here in a few minutes. I like to take the cord, when I wrap around on those areas that are marked, I like to take the cord and go through the shank of the needle and go back through each time. And then the tighter you pull it, I've already wrapped this one, but the tighter, let me show you, the tighter you pull it, the more of the little pumpkin indentation you're going to get. And then you just simply, when you finish up with both ends of, and there's a button on the back, when you finish up with both ends of the cord, you just simply wrap it, wrap the other one, pull it as tight as you want to pull it, tie it off, and you have an adorable pillow, or in this case, look at the little pin cushion. Isn't that a perfect size for a pin cushion? And next, I have one of the most beautiful pieces in my whole vintage collection to share with you. This is one of the 3 most beautiful pieces in my collection, I think. This beautiful, beautiful dress, you can see how the raglan sleeves, and look at the embroidery. I especially love the lace-shaped bows. These are flip-flop bows, one of the techniques for lace shaping. All of the embroidery is done by hand. The sleeves have embroidery that comes down the edge of the sleeves, and look at the precious little sleeves. You see we have gathered edging, insertion, gathered edging, and then I want you just to enjoy looking at this skirt. It has the embroidery, that just beautiful embroidery that comes nearly to the waistline, all the way down. I cannot imagine the hours this skirt took. And then we have more bows on the bottom, more flip-flop bows, which go all the way around. There are bows in the back, and then a very simple bottom to the skirt. And I certainly don't blame this seamstress. If I had done that much embroidery, I would have made a simple bottom on the skirt also. I'm going to just turn it around so you can get a look at the back. It is absolutely gorgeous, the beautiful flip-flop bows. The back is just as pretty as the front, and I just love this dress. Thank you so much for coming to visit with me in my sewing room today. I surely would like to invite you to come back next time.